Lately, I've been noticing an increase in pranks and just general bad information surrounding stories I've covered in the past. For example, that story about the jar guy Alex dying in Ukraine. I'm like 99% sure that's fake. Although he was known to be living in Ukraine at some point, he just looks too young in this memorial picture they're showing. Like that old picture everyone knows of him is from 2009, the latest. And I'm supposed to believe this is him 15 years or more later, while participating in a war in his 50s. Furthermore, I had friends who speak Russian and Ukrainian look into it, and they couldn't find any source regarding it except for memes. And then the other day I got some guy hit me up telling me that the most mysterious song on the internet's been found. Which normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to that, except I'd recently been told about a promising lead that's going on right now. And then I look up the song title he gives me, and it's something that had been ruled out years ago. I tell him this, and he's like, yeah, I just made it up. Although funny enough, he wasn't aware of this lead, he just picked the genre-appropriate song at random. So in a couple days after that, I got people blowing up my notifications saying that celebrity number 6 had been found, and they send this picture. So I take a quick glance at it and I'm like, oh, obviously they did that thing where you put an image in AI and it makes a new picture out of it. But then you really look at it and it has all of these little details that AI tends to struggle with. And it also doesn't have that kind of texture that AI has a lot of the time. I have a hard time articulating what I mean by that, but it's kind of like a you know it when you see it kind of thing. And the more I look, the more I'm not seeing that. Furthermore, the person in this picture is definitely a real person who exists. And the information shared by the person who found it has me convinced that this is actually it. Of course, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should go back and watch my other videos about celebrity number 6. But if you don't feel like it, here's a quick rundown. In 2020, a Redditor named Hansa shared a piece of fabric they bought featuring stylized images of celebrities. They wanted to identify all of the people on it, and every single one was identified except for the 6th person. Due to the time frame that the other photos were found in, it was expected that this would be someone who was popular in the mid-2000s. And there are a lot of suggestions like Evangeline Lilly, River Phoenix, Brad Pitt, but the matching photos simply could not be found. When I last covered this story about a year and a half ago, a model named Philippa Hamilton was suggested, and she was a really close match. And after being shown the image, she claimed that this was in fact her. I was actually pretty convinced of her case, but I reiterated that this mystery isn't really solved until we find the exact image. And now we have what appears to be the exact image, and it's somebody else. That brings us to today. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor. This video is sponsored by Meta PCs. Pre-built PCs have come such a long way from where they were when I was getting started out back in the day. And Meta PCs are the best in the field by far. They have such a wide range of builds for any purpose at any price range, ready to ship the day after you order them. And they're not just built well, they look sick. Just check out the Meta Hyper Beast. Or if you're working with a budget, the Ember will get it done without breaking the bank. And if you really want to go out, they got the Spectre. But say you want something that's more specifically tailored to your needs. Meta also has a custom build configurator where you can create your own build from the ground up. Small form factor, full tower, water-cooled options, even custom printed case designs if you want. And with financing options, you don't have to skimp on getting the PC of your dreams. I've actually known the Meta PC guys from before the company existed, so I know that they're gonna do everything they possibly can to make sure you get exactly what you need. Just click the link in the description or go to metapcs.com and use code WANG. So on Sunday, September 8th, a Redditor named Indigo Room makes a post to r/celebrity number 6. Celebrity number 6 has been found, and there's the image. And if you had any doubt that this was an exact perfect match, cryptographer Week519 posted a comparison in the comments. So where does this image come from? The first thing you're going to want to do, of course, is reverse image search. Google image search has basically been useless for years now. You also get nothing on TinEye, which honestly, even back in the day, people would always say TinEye was better, but for me, I've never got anything but crap off of TinEye. These days, it actually seems like Yandex is the least useless of them all. And even that one didn't give me this picture, just similar looking women.
What?
Years ago, I would have been confident in saying that this means that the image hadn't been online before. There's still a possibility, but another possibility is simply that image search is currently in the mud. That being said, considering how much time people spent going through different images of celebrities, like at this point, people very well might have looked at every single picture of celebrity that's been published in the mid-2000s. With that in mind, an image that somehow hadn't made its way online might be the most likely candidate. In the comments, Indigo Room posted a brief explanation. God, what a journey. The person depicted in the picture is the Spanish model Leticia Sarda. A few days ago, I got in touch with the photographer Leandre Escorcel, asking if he knew something about the image. I asked him because he took the photograph that served as a cover of the supplement of Woman number 126, Spanish magazine that features Leticia. He claimed that he recognized the photo and sent me the picture. Here you have the original photo. Thanks to Tansa, the person who mentioned the name of Leticia, I don't know who it is, and everyone that has contributed in any form to the search. And note that the person who originally came across the Leticia Sarda lead was a user named Stefan Morse, and he would later answer questions about how he came across this lead. People were curious, especially since she was a pretty obscure model who hadn't been suggested to this point. What he did was he took the picture of the fabric, and he colored it in various ways to make it look more human-like. He made a few different versions of this. Then when he was done drawing, he put his colored version into PimEyes, which is an AI facial search engine. And despite the artwork still looking relatively cartoony, there was enough of a likeness there that it matched his artwork to Leticia's face. In fact, multiple different versions of this artwork kept on giving him the same model. People have tried this method before unsuccessfully. In fact, I even personally tried this exact method with the exact same website. But the thing is, I'm a terrible artist, and he's really good. And he got the likeness close enough to generate a lead, which I didn't even know was possible. So after Indigo Room posted this photo, people were mostly already convinced that this was the real deal. But there was some skepticism. And it's understandable that people would be skeptical. I mean, as I said at the beginning of the video, it just seems like lately there's been just a lot more fake crap floating around online. And if I'm able to see this through the garbage fire of notifications that I get all day, the people who are looking through these mysteries all the time are probably noticing it even more. Most notably, one of the mods, Hugh Wattmate 9001, had this to say. This image appears to be fake for several reasons. The buttons are different colors. The shirt is clipping into the neck. There's a texture overlaid on top of the image. The shoulders are different sizes. The hair looks odd and resembles poorly done AI, and the eye is misshaped. Many elements suggest it's fake. Let's be cautious and wait for the photographer's response, as the image doesn't even overlay correctly. Which, if this image was AI, I wonder how many attempts it would take for it to not make that bag strap a gun, because so many people thought that was a gun. Some people thought he was right to be skeptical, and others even agreed with his points, while others thought he was talking out of his ass. But things got a little heated after he decided to pin the comment. Then people start saying he's in denial, he's coping. Someone called him a nonce. You get people who are threatening to anti-hero if he's right. Pretty soon after, his post gets unpinned and gets replaced with a post from a different mod, Pray for My Enemy. This seems ridiculous to need to ask, but if everyone could please hold off on random reports of self-harm and such for Hugh's appropriate skepticism, that would be great. After 20 years of mystery, being thoughtful and patient for a few days while everyone seeks to confirm things to their satisfaction seems reasonable. As moderators, we've seen ridiculous levels of fakery, sham, jokes, and trolls. Please remember the human, in this case Hugh, in their diligent effort to continue to moderate what is shaping up to be the biggest post this sub will see. I'm no AI expert, so I'll wait for folks wiser than me to weigh in conclusively, but it sure seems convincing enough to warrant excitement. Those buttons look to me like the fancy type that goes straight through without a cap. Pretty rad. Play nice. It's worth noting here that Hugh isn't some random onlooker just being a dick for no reason, but he's literally personally looked through tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of pictures of celebrities. And he kept all this in a list so that people weren't just looking at the same things wasting their time. Although some suggested that because he spent so much time on it, he was salty that he wasn't the one who found it. But he responded to these kinds of accusations by saying that he'd be more than happy to eat humble pie and be wrong. For that matter though, Indigo Room has also been involved in several different lost media searches. He has a pretty extensive posting history in various lost media subreddits, and it just doesn't seem like someone who would suddenly come up with an elaborate hoax. Although, anybody could get tricked. A little while later, Hugh would post an image compiling all of the things that seemed wrong to him about the image. That it doesn't overlay right. That it's not the full image. And what he refers to as AI hair defects. And honestly, looking at this, I think some of the points he's making are actually evidence that it's not AI. To me, what he's calling a hair defects, that's how flyaway hairs look in photos. I know what he's talking about. Wow, sometimes when AI generates a person, they'll have these weird looking flyaway hairs. But I know what he's talking about, and it looks different than that. He also shows this one button and asks if anyone's seen a button like this. And I actually have, in fact. I gave it away years ago, but I actually used to have a denim shirt that was kind of similar to the one in the picture, and it had those kinds of buttons that snap. Another part of the image asks why the buttons on the pockets are different from each other, but to me it looks like they're the same, but it's the light hitting them at different angles. Which, creating these weird little subtleties with the buttons is something that AI tends to struggle with. Either way, we can sit and play CSI all day long and nobody's really going to convince anybody of anything. To help ease people's skepticism, Indigo Room made another post. Information about the finding of celebrity number 6. I'm writing this to dispel any doubts that may arise about the legitimacy of the picture. As he had mentioned in the comment he made before, he saw Leticia Sarda's name come up on the subreddit a few days before. Specifically, there was a cover photo of her from the supplement to issue 162 of the Spanish Woman magazine. It was published March of 2006 and credited to photographer Leandre Escorcel. A user named Muchlack3498 made a thread about it, and the Wrong Rook found the full magazine cover photo on the photographer's website. Indigo Room found the photographer's email and reached out directly. And note that these emails were originally in Spanish, but they're translated back into English. Good morning. Please ignore this email if you find it annoying in any way. We will not contact you again in this way. We are writing to you from an internet forum, Reddit Celebrity Number 6, which is looking for the identification of a specific photo that we believe you may have taken. I attached the photo that I am talking about with the name Celebrity Number 6. It is a photo that reflects the face of a woman with bluish tones that a user uploaded years ago to the internet after finding it in a product he had purchased, which showed the mentioned face along with other recognized actors/models. After years of fruitless searching, we believe that the person showing the photo is the model Leticia Sarda, and that the image comes from a photo shoot for the magazine Tendencia's Woman, specifically from a free supplement for number 162 of said magazine, whose cover, according to the website productionparadise.com, was made by you. I attached the cover with the name Leticia Sarda, Mujer Tendencias, number 162. We do not have the complete magazine, only the cover. Do you recognize the image? Do you think it comes from said photo shoot? It is possible that other people contact you through the different channels that your public website leandrephoto.com details. We are sorry for the inconvenience caused. Thank you very much for the attention given. And he received a response very short after. Good afternoon, Indigo Room. Yes, I recognize the image. It is the face of one of the photographs I took for the Woman magazine editorial with Leticia. I don't know who used this image without authorization. I think to use it on fabric. And as a user, Buridan's Ascot pointed out, you know it's real because the photographer's first reaction is, WTF, someone stole my photo. Indigo Room responds to Leandre showing him the full picture of the curtain, asks if it's okay to share the emails, and if he knows where he can find the publication. And then, Leandre does him one better. Good afternoon, Indigo Room. I am attaching a screenshot of the image we are mentioning. I hope that with this photo you successfully close your search. Leandre Escorcel. And there it is. It always seems so easy when it finally happens. A common sentiment that I saw in the thread was people were surprised at how helpful Leandre was. Because I mean, in this case, a lot of times when a lost media search gets to this point, people will reach out to somebody and they start to get all like flaky and cryptic and weird. Which I mean, it's kind of understandable. You know, if suddenly something you made decades ago and haven't thought about in years, all of a sudden it becomes the subject of this massive online search, and you suddenly get all these strangers reaching out to you, it's kind of like being abducted by aliens. It was also kind of funny to see people so surprised that he was able to find it in just 2 days. Like there was almost like a sense of disbelief that someone could find their old work so quickly. As someone who stores basically every single file as key smashes, and I somehow typed out the exact same pattern several times, I get where that feeling comes from. Like if you need me to find you something I did 20 years ago, it's just not happening. But you know, there actually are people in the world who are organized. Now at first there was some skepticism that the emails weren't real, mostly because he didn't include screenshots of the emails, but he added those in a later edit. And although there are some people who aren't fully convinced, they would like someone who knows AI a little bit better to do a more thorough analysis, or maybe they want to see some outtake photos from the same photo shoot. Got a quick update since I originally recorded this video. Leticia Sarda, who has long since retired from modeling, has been made aware of the situation, and she did a quick interview with Vanity Fair. She also posted a picture with the full uncropped photo. So at this point, I think we can put to rest any doubt that this was the real deal. Alright, so here I am even further in the future with another update. My editor, Biodegradable, just about had this video wrapped up, and then he's like, hey, wait a minute, she literally just did a Reddit AMA. I am Leticia Sarda /celebrity number 6. Ask me anything. As she was writing this, it was a sunny day on the Canary Islands where she lives. She had just taken her kids to soccer practice before the AMA. And she mentions that she's a Barcelona fan because she used to live there and she misses it. So what's probably obviously your first question, how did she react when she found out about all this? I mean, consider the situation. You're the subject of a lost media search with hundreds of thousands of people looking for you. You had no idea that any of this was going on, and then all of a sudden you're found. And unlike with all the lost songs, people are literally looking for her face. So what happens is a group of people start sending it to her. She couldn't remember which photo shoot specifically this was from, but she was like, yeah, this is me. And at first she just thinks this is a group of friends that stumbled on the picture and were curious. Then she realizes that this group of friends is actually thousands of people. She described what was going on in her mind at that time. OMG, what's gonna happen? Why me? I didn't think much about this, and suddenly everyone wants to know about me, and I'm just trying to show there's a real person behind the picture. But since it happened, let's have fun with it. Maybe I can make some new friends or go on new adventures. I'm enjoying it and having fun. Earlier on, she expressed in an interview that she was kind of worried about this a little bit because people had just put so much effort into finding someone off a piece of fabric. It seems kind of nutty. But now I guess a week or so has passed and she realized it's not something to be afraid of. She said that generally she tends to be a private person, but then all of a sudden people she knows are calling her on the phone about it. Although when asked if it felt overwhelming, she said, "Not as much as I thought it would be. I work at a bar in a building full of bankers and suddenly everyone knows and I've been making them coffee, you know?" She also said that she was surprised that this is how it eventually got back to her, because she has a lot of friends who work in the media and a lot of friends who spend a lot of time online. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if one of her actual friends did come across this mystery and just didn't realize that she was the woman on the fabric. Maybe one of her friends was someone who thought it was Brad Pitt, which she actually noted was the funniest of all the people that people thought she was. So how did she get into modeling? That's a cool story actually. I never was the pretty girl in the school, and a friend who did photography asked me if I would like to be a model, and he even got me the agency meeting. I worked locally until my mom said it was okay to move overseas. This shoot in particular was her first job with a new agency she had signed up with. It was about upcoming trends for the spring and summer season, and she recalled that the whole crew were really nice, including the photographer who was key in solving this mystery, and she shared some other stories about her time in the industry. She recalled sitting in on a Milla Jovovich campaign and being shocked by how beautiful she was in real life. In the Vanity Fair interview, she mentions that she did campaigns for Burberry, L'Oreal, and Levi, among others. In that interview, she also goes more in depth about why she quit. Why did you decide to leave fashion behind? For several reasons. The fact is that I started working when I was very young, and I was always very happy, working well, but then there came a period when I was not working well. Suddenly, my grandmother fell ill, and I returned home with the idea of making a long vacation. I had many inner demons, and I was very lonely. I'd spent too much time like that. There came a time when I could not handle it well. Then I discovered South Africa, which for me was a paradise. So I decided to enjoy life instead of staying only in the markets where I worked the most or where I worked the best. I reached a point where I wanted to enjoy my family, my friends, and stability more. I thought that the time had come to leave, and in between I fell in love, had children, separated, and I stayed in Santa Cruz until today, where I work in the hospitality industry. When asked about the very topic of lost media, she said that she had never even considered that stuff like this would be something people would look for. Although this did remind her of a time when she searched for a specific horror movie for 3 years. She had to find it because her mother said she was completely terrified of it. And then she finds the movie and her mother says that she never saw it. The movie wound up being At the End of the Stairs, or Al Final de la Escalera, which is the Spanish title for The Changeling. As for what the future holds, I don't think people are gonna know me. It's just the phase of life. I'm just happy to put a voice to the face. And she did mention in the Vanity Fair interview that since this all happened, she's been approached by people asking to do her social media. I was leaving work and I was wearing flip-flops, shorts, and a badly done bun. So I told them that I'm not ready for this. So it seems like she's just enjoying the ride for now and not trying to make a whole thing out of this. She's not seeing it as a, oh, here's my big chance kind of thing. She's just seeing it as a fun thing that happened. So I don't think we're gonna see her version of the Hawk Tua podcast. Although she has set up a website where you can get signed posters of the original photo. Which, I mean, people have been selling your face without your knowledge for nearly decades at this point. Go get paid. I'll put a link to it in the description. Note though that they're pre-orders, but they plan on fulfilling them in 2 to 4 weeks. That's the story of celebrity number 6. If you liked this video, go and check out my videos about the most mysterious song on the internet. I know I've said this before, but I'm getting really confident that this one is close to actually being solved.